Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening today. This is Michael with SNN, Southern Nationalist Network. And on the line is Mike Tuggle. And Mr. Tuggle is a board member of the League of the South, the author of Confederates in the Boardroom, project manager and business consultant in Charlotte, and the webmaster of Rebellion Blog. And thanks for joining me today, Mr. Tuggle.
Well, thanks for having me.
Could you begin by telling us a little bit about your position in the League of the South?
Yeah. Well, I served as, first off, I got involved as the president of the local Charlotte chapter. And when the state chairs had to leave the state, they asked me to take on that job. And so I was state chair from 1999 until through 2007. And I believe it was in 2004, I believe, when Michael Hill asked me to join the board of directors, and I've served in that capacity since that time. And back when I was still the state chair of North Carolina, I started doing a website for the North Carolina League of the South. And I enjoy it, and it kind of gravitated into doing pretty much a daily blog, just commenting on current events, because something I've always believed is that the League of the South is the only organization that I'm aware of that has a real answer to the fundamental problems that we're facing today. Everyone else, might have some good intentions, but I believe the League of the South is the only group that strikes at the fundamental problem, which is an overgrown federal government. And I think because that is our ultimate goal, we need a way to reach out to people. And the way we do that is by showing how relevant what our mission is to their everyday concerns and to the things we see happening around us today. We say that the system is basically broken. Well, okay, we have elections. That's what people keep telling me. Right. We have elections, we don't like the way things are going. Well, what does that change? I mean, the civil libertarians and liberals who objected to what George W. Bush did in terms of indefinite detention, wars of aggression, Obama has increased it. I mean, the National Defense Authorization Act recently passed pretty much spells out the fact that anyone can be arrested and held indefinitely without access to a lawyer. Well, people need to understand where this came from. This came from the fact that the limits that the founders put on the central government have been destroyed, and that happened during Lincoln's war of aggression against the southern states. States' rights was, in effect, nullified by overpowering central government that no longer has anything to limit its power. So we have to keep telling people that and comment on world events, make these things relevant, making our calls relevant to what people see going on today.
Well, you've been doing that for several years now.
Yeah. Sometime, yeah. It's almost like a second nature to me now. Started off with the Tar Heel LS site, and now everything that the state was doing is now on the main League of the South site. You can go in and find the state chapters information there under the League of the South national site. So now I just moved everything up to the national site. So all of my blogging is done under the Rebellion blog. I would say it's been going on since 06, I believe, is when I started doing it for the national site. And we've had a couple of changes. We've been hacked a couple of times. One time, some pictures were switched around by some hacker, and we've tried our best to improve security. I think we've got the security problem figured out now, which I think that says a lot about the people who don't like our message. They can't argue with us, so the best they can do is try to sabotage us. And we've pretty much taken care of that also.
Well, I've noticed this trend. Speaking of hacking, this group Anonymous, they've been out there hacking government institutions and banks, but now apparently these hackers are focusing on dissident groups and people far removed from the sources of power. So that's troubling when they focus on those like us who really don't have any power to oppose.
What little freedom of speech we have, they're trying to interfere with that. So what does that tell you about their motives?
Right.
Do these people really believe in freedom of speech and the free exchange of ideas? Not from their behavior, I would say.
Your archives go back to 2008, and you see you've been doing it longer than that. You're probably one of the, the voices of Southern nationalism who's been on the Internet the longest. So I was wondering, you've probably seen quite a bit of changes, I guess, in general opinion since you started blogging. Can you tell us about some of the trends that you've seen and how things are going, not only just in the general public, but also within the Southern movement?
Yeah, I would say we've gotten away from being another SCV. I think that was the direction that we didn't intend to take, but this is the way things settled down. I know that was definitely true at state meetings. Even when we met here in North Carolina, we'd have our annual state meeting. We tended to talk about Confederate history.
Right.
And I know even at the national meeting, I remember I've seen some videos of the very first national meeting, which I did not attend, but I did see a video of it. And one of the talks was about monuments, putting up monuments to our Confederate heroes. And those are worthwhile goals. I mean, I see the need for that. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to preserve our legacy, our heritage into the future. And at some point, that's going to come down to taking political action. We've had some talk before about running candidates. We've backed candidates. Michael Hill has endorsed certain candidates. We attempted the Southern Party at one point, trying to become more political. That did not work out, but that's not to say we can't do that down the road, which I would like to see. Or even the idea of forming a coalition with other like-minded groups who, we can be inspired by our Confederate heroes, but our battle is a very different battle from what they fought. We have to fight it on our terms as things exist today.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and that's interesting, your perspective about the Southern movement having changed in that way. There also seems to be a change taking place in the broader culture. We hear people like Pat Buchanan have talked about ideas similar to ours for a while, but now Ron Paul, I guess, has gotten at least parts of our message a lot of mainstream attention.
Yeah, I've said for some time I don't believe that running a candidate for national office, specifically President of the United States, is really going to bring about a resurgence of liberty in this country, because the powers that be are so well organized in the district of corruption that you're not going to see any real reform there. And I think Paul, even though he's getting some good publicity for his ideas, I think he said so himself, he doesn't see himself as being the commander-in-chief of the armed forces that he thinks should not be used the way they're being used today. So, but again, it's good to see him talking about auditing the Federal Reserve, about questioning our military spending, which is just completely indefensible. I mean, why do we need to spend more than the next 20 countries spend on defense? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, especially when we're talking about cutting back on Social Security and things that we need here in this country. So, I respect the man for what he does. I appreciate his intentions. And I think it is gratifying that he is bringing up ideas that we've been talking about. There are several videos of Ron Paul talking about the right of secession, states' rights. Those are things that need to be discussed, because people think that the, quote, Civil War ended that debate. And that's just not the case. I mean, bullets do not take the place of facts. We had a very definite tradition in this country that came from the Founding Fathers, and it was not dispensed with just because of one war. Those principles remain the same no matter who won that particular war. I don't know who it was. I think it was Andrew Nelson Lytle, who said that he doesn't believe in a lost cause because he doesn't believe in won causes. Every generation has to fight for its principles, in their lifetime. So there's no such thing as a lost cause, no such thing as a won cause. The struggle is ongoing.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your contributions to that struggle, Mr. Tuggle.
Well, I appreciate that.
I want to thank you for speaking with me today, and direct folks to your site. That's lsrebellion.blogspot.com, or they could just go to dixienet.org, and it's linked there at the top. Thank you again for speaking with me, and hopefully we can talk.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate the work you're doing. I think these audio interviews are a great contribution.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tuggle. Take care now.
All right. Thank you very much.